whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on channel gboot2786 on YouTube. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. If you're watching on my backup channel, Gavin Richard, or if you're watching on Facebook, Gavin Richard, or Periscope at Gavin Rich 2786, I thank you for joining. We have a special thing planned for you today. The place to be is right here with me. It is Random Topic Sundays, but we're only going to be talking about one topic today, and that is on the trials of R. Kelly. As you know, jury deliberations have actually begun this past Friday after closing arguments. And today we have a special guest coming on, Brother Dennis Byron, who is the editor-in-chief of Hip Hop Enquirer. Brother Dennis, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. Thank you for being with us today. Now, we're going to bring Dennis back on in a second, but of course, we have to pay some dues. And before I do that, I want everybody to please go to Dennis's Cash App. We're going to donate to his website today, Hip Hop Enquirer. Do I have the Cash App right? Hip Hop Enquirer?
HIPHOPENQ. That's correct. That looks right. Correct.
That's correct. All right. I want everybody to go to his Cash App, contribute, because this brother has been hitting the ground. If you've been watching if you subscribe to his Twitter account, he has been bringing that fire with regards to this. Of course, we're going to pay some dues in a little bit, and we'll bring Brother Dennis back. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, of course, talk with you about some things, including our website. Check out nonniescreoleblends.com. That is for my seasoning blends. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nonnies goes great with every dish. We also have our a couple of videos songs that I've released. Of course, we have Video Soul, which is available now. That's my latest single instrumental that I did. That is available on iTunes, Spotify, Apple. I'd ask if you go download it, or if you actually could go and stream it. If you want to stream it on Spotify, that's fine, but I appreciate it if you purchase it. That's even better. And of course, before we get on down, we got to get on up. Now, we're going to get on up in a second, but first, this little commercial that we have here that I want to play for everybody, especially in the New Orleans area. I'm attorney Gavin Richard. I grew up here in New Orleans, so I know how important family, friends, and community are to us. And helping others has been a lifelong passion of mine. If you've been injured in an accident, you may be out of work and faced with large medical bills. You'll need someone to fight the insurance companies so that you can get on with your life. Give me a call at 504-799-2288, and I'll be with you all the way. The law offices of Gavin M. Richard, going the distance so that justice may be served.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll go. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Right now the party's wasted. There's not much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken heart. The rhythm takes over, there's only one thing left to do. The beat is really time to get your body. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause the beat is really groove. Got to feel your body. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Tell the DJ play your style. Rock steady in the groove. Water, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop, I'll do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be. Get on the floor. Get on and move your body. Cause the beat is really grooving. Start to feel your body move. Gotta go up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Yes, got to get on up. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. We are live, and I'm coming at you with 5. Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on channel G-Boo2786. That is my single, Gotta Get On Up. We always got to get on up. But now let's get down to business with our brother, Mr. Dennis Byron of Hip Hop Enquirer. Again, guys, his Cash App is Hip Hop Enquirer. I want you all to go there and support him, especially he's taking time out of his day to talk about his findings with the R. Kelly case. And brother, you have been involved. I just want to give everybody a few of his credentials here because I met you through Twitter and via Twitter. And you have been in journalism, if I'm reading this correctly, for over 32 years.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And you've been involved 32 years of photography, outstanding award in media, author of the book Behind the Lens, a contributing news producer for TMZ. So he's been around in media for a while, guys, and Brother Dennis is going to tell us about what he has experienced, obviously, in his coverage of the R. Kelly case. Dennis, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Gavin.
All right. So I guess we can get into how all of this started. back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the year, Dreamhampton produces a film called Surviving R. Kelly, or she directed that film. And this film, it goes on, I believe it was the Lifetime Network that it was broadcast over several nights. And as it's broadcast, I can remember distinctly the the Attorney General of Illinois, Kim, her last name escapes.
Kim Fox.
That's what I was. All right, yeah, Kim Fox actually did a press conference telling women or any person that was abused by R. Kelly, alleged to have been abused by R. Kelly, to come forward. Am I right? And
that's correct.
Then afterwards, we started to see all of the legal troubles for R. Kelly coming out, and the wake of this Me Too movement that we have. And I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, Dennis, but I've been very critical of this Me Too movement in regards to the fact that while I believe we can be supportive of people who are alleged to have been raped or molested in some sort, so obviously it's a terrible thing, we still also have to have due process. Our Constitution says no matter what you're accused of, whether you're accused of petty theft or whether you're accused of terrorism, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and you have to be tried by an impartial jury, and the procedure has to be fair and impartial. So just tell us, since R. Kelly's facing, and I want everybody to know this, R. Kelly's is in federal court right now. The jury is deliberating in, I believe it's the Eastern District of New York. And he's being charged. By the way, Dennis is also a criminal justice major. He's being charged. He received his criminal justice degree.
No, I attended John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City.
I apologize.
John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Took courses in police science, investigations. What the course consists of for a CJ major. CJ,
yeah,
right.
But R. Kelly, okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
The preferences of this, R. Kelly is being charged under the Mann Act in federal court and a RICO statute. Now, I just saw the documentary last night. How many of you in the chat ever saw the documentary by Ken Burns called Unforgivable Blackness? And it's the documentary on Jack Johnson. I've seen it. I have the DVD. Dennis, I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but is it on Netflix or can I pull it up on YouTube?
It's on PBS. It came on last night. You may be able to find some of it on YouTube. And I bring it up because Ken Burns actually just did a documentary on Muhammad Ali. And so they've been airing some of his stuff, and this came on last night. But I bring up Jack Johnson for a reason. The Mann Act, and Dennis knows where I'm going, because I know he knows his history. The Mann Act, ladies and gentlemen, was passed by the United States Congress in order to get Jack Johnson. And Jack Johnson was the first Black heavyweight champion in the United States. But also, he had an appetite for white women. And his wives were white, and he was beating, not only that, he would beat his white opponents, gloating over them. And you got to realize this is in the 1900s. So at the turn of the century, 20th century, which in 1909, that was the birth year of the first Black Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall. So absolutely, all of this stuff was going on. The Mann Act is passed. And what they have to allege in this case, Dennis, is that the prosecutor has to prove that R. Kelly ran a criminal enterprise. Am I right?
Correct.
So from that, I guess where we could start about how, when I talked about how this started, what were your initial thoughts, number one, of the documentary, the Surviving R. Kelly aspect of it?
Well, I started covering Mr. Kelly's troubles prior to the documentary.
Okay.
I started covering Mr. Kelly's troubles in 2017 when I attended a press conference in Atlanta, Georgia, that was held by attorney Gerald Griggs with the attendance of the Savage family. So I covered that press conference, and that was obviously before the documentary.
Mhm.
I saw some chatter online prior to that by a particular blogger interviewing people, but it really came into my radar when the claims by the Savages uh, regarding their daughter being held against her will. And I think I have the press conference on my channel. So after that, there was several people coming out and saying that Mr. Kelly might have done some certain things. Uh, Nothing that I could prove then, like nothing I can prove now. Uh, People tell their stories. Uh, some people have told stories already that didn't uh, show up in the court. So I don't know what type of credibility I could put to those stories. But in any event, at some point, Mr. Kelly was charged. He was charged in Chicago. I was also at his arraignment, and also when he got released, because when he got charged, he bonded out.
Mhm.
Then he got rearrested at his recording studio, which I was there as well. It almost like I was stalking the man, but I wasn't stalking the man. I was covering the
So
story.
you've met him? You've met R. Kelly?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And what was he like?
I've met him prior to that. I met him on a video shoot with Young Jeezy.
Okay.
I've also seen him in concert. Like I see many celebrities in my line of work, either on a video shoot, concerts, parties, whatever. But I had no personal relationship to him. But I understand that he was someone very big in the music industry. So
Right.
it was just standard reason that I would cross his path, especially being associated with entertainment publications like The Source, Hip Hop Weekly, and Hip Hop Enquirer, and U.S. African Eye, and several other publications. So it just makes sense. I didn't know his personal lifestyle. I didn't know that he did great music.
Right.
He did great music. But like Diana Copeland testified, my understanding to him with him is, his entertainment element of the game. So
Okay.
yeah, and then the documentary at some point came out. I didn't look at the full doc. Even to today, I haven't looked at two, because I think there were two of them, and they taping another one right now. Survivor R. Kelly 3, the trial. But for the most part, everything was just hearsay. People making allegations.
So they're making you said a part 3. So there's going to be a part 3 follow-up to Surviving R. Kelly for the trial.
Right. From what I'm told, it's Surviving R. Kelly, the trial. The producers haven't confirmed that, but my sources have told me that is.
Oh wow.
They're doing it. And there are people people from the production was actually at the courthouse covering it.
Right. And in this day and age, especially, we've obviously had with the Me Too era, like with the cases of Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. I've talked fluently, especially about the Cosby case and how badly that was handled by the press and media, but also the courtroom, and the bad act witnesses that they allowed, and the bullshit, just overall bullshit, the environment that was around it. And I think now that Bill Cosby has been let out of prison as his conviction is overturned, my brother, shout out to him, Harvey Superboy, he said that R. Kelly was going to be next. Although I honestly thought Cuba Gooding Jr. would probably get it worse because he's accused of messing with a white woman. But R. Kelly.
Cuba, if I'm correct, he's facing misdemeanor charges. And I don't know if that's even been adjudicated as of yet, because it started. It has been adjudicated?
It hasn't been. It hasn't been. They kept pushing it back. Obviously, I think with the pandemic, it pushed a lot of cases back, even R. Kelly's case. across the country. And just, I don't know what happened as a result of it. But the thing is, Cuba has multiple charges in different states, though. Well, people are suing him left and right. But point being, R. Kelly still, I think, is a bigger celebrity, obviously, than Cuba. And, nevertheless, you have him facing charges in Illinois and in New York. And he's also facing state charges. It's state charges in Illinois as well. His attorney, Steve.
In Minneapolis, I believe.
You're right, in
Minnesota.
Minneapolis.
Right.
And his attorney is Steve Greenberg in this case. And, of course, in this case, for what we're talking about with the deliberations,
I don't know if Steve is still representing them in any of the cases. I think Steve is he still representing him in Chicago? My
understanding is that he is still representing him in some of the cases. I've seen him on television, unless he's doing something he's not supposed to. But I've seen him. Right. He says he's still representing him. He was on Black News Channel and was actually talking about the case and the deliberations. So
okay, all right.
So I want to ask you though, because I've seen what you've covered. I'm on your Twitter handle right now, and one of the things that you mentioned here, you tweeted this, and I just want to put this up. That you're present in court, but you said here that Judge Donnelly is allowing the prosecution to change the language in the charging papers to say R. Kelly himself ran an illegal enterprise. This would essentially suggest to the jury that others should be absolved from any wrongdoing in deliberations. And I'm wondering, how the hell did that happen? What?
Yeah, pretty much. In the charging of the jury, the judge can, as you know, as an attorney, she has to charge him based on the law. Now,
right.
If the prosecution during the opening argument stated that this man was a part of a enterprise and he violated the RICO statute, then they had to prove their case throughout the trial. They had to be able to present evidence to support the charges. To tell the jury at the conclusion or near the conclusion of the trial that while you heard a lot of evidence, a lot of witnesses came in, but you had to just consider R. Kelly's the only one being charged. Well, I think the jury might be smart enough to see through that. If someone put this towards the end of a trial, why is the judge reinforcing something that hasn't technically been proven? And she's charging the jury with that, and the language is being changed. As a defense attorney, and the judge did that to you in your case, how would you feel that you've already argued, for your client, and it's almost like she's stepping on the scale?
She's doing extra to try and get a conviction.
Absolutely.
And let me make it clear, because we may have some people that get upset. They think you're defending R. Kelly and you are a rape apologist. Let me be abundantly clear about this. What I've always been, is about fairness. And I am not a rape, that doesn't make me a rape apologist. I'm a constitutionalist. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in laws. And it's very easy for people we know to get set up. That's not to say that they're necessarily a good person. I mean, celebrities, people say, well, he was an asshole to me. Well, if being an asshole were against the law, everybody would be thrown in jail, doing life in prison for being an asshole.
Especially a lot of us New Yorkers.
Yeah. You know how many people, that is, this is what I do. You know how many people you've worked with yet you didn't get along with? But you just,
a lot of them,
right.
A lot of them. But at some point you can walk away, you can stop dealing with those people and you can go on with your life. So
right.
Yeah, he wasn't charged with being an asshole.
Right. And
he might have been an asshole. He might have been a narcissist. He might have been hot-headed. But right. I tell you, if you look at,
can't go back and try him on the 2008 stuff. That has nothing to do with
right.
This.
He was acquitted on those charges.
And let me clarify, the reason why he was acquitted was that the alleged victim, or who the government was saying was the victim, denied that that was her, as well as her parents. They didn't testify. The girl's relatives said that was her, but because they did not come out, she did not testify. There's a Fifth Amendment right, a Sixth Amendment right, excuse me, to confront your accuser. You have a right to confront any witnesses, hostile witnesses against you, and you have the right to obtain witnesses in your favor. If they cannot come forward, then these accusations are just that. They're accusations at this point, and he was acquitted on that. But it seems like they are trying to, just from the information you've put out and what I'm looking at, it seems like the government is throwing stuff out there just to make something stick and get him on that.
For example, Jane, it was a lot of mention of Jane Doe, who was Aaliyah. And looking at the cases is to the jury right now. So the question I asked the prosecutors, and I'll share that video sometime today. I asked the prosecutors, why didn't they call Aaliyah's mother, and why didn't they call her uncle, Barry Hankerson? I would think that those two can provide some context to what was the mindset of Aaliyah, since one, the mother would have talked to her, and she could probably attest to either he abused her or he didn't abuse her. And the uncle wasn't called. The prosecutors have power, very strong subpoena powers. They got people in there who didn't want to testify. When you think that having the daughter there as the Jane Doe wouldn't have been more powerful for the government's case to bring the mother in to say that the daughter had problems with Mr. Kelly?
Mm-hmm. Well, the main problem though with it too is that still Aaliyah's parent, when R. Kelly married, here's my thing too, when R. Kelly married Aaliyah, we all knew, I was 8 years old, so I didn't know any difference, but that was in 1994. I saw even in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, Kurt Howder from MTV News even mentioning that they had gotten married. Nobody said anything about it then.
Right.
Aaliyah's parents didn't even object. I mean, if they objected, I can tell you, I'm not a father, but if I had a daughter and she had gotten married to an older man at 15 years old, I would be the one in jail as a parent.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm thinking, yeah, but what you're saying is absolutely right. Right. The parents never objected to it at that point. They didn't even want to come forward with this, if I'm not mistaken. Aaliyah's mother didn't even want to come forward. And Aaliyah, God rest her soul, has been dead for 20 years. So she can't come forward and come out against R. Kelly. So why are we mentioning something if the person is deceased? Well, there's a Fifth Amendment, there's a Sixth Amendment issue still that attaches. Has the defense, I'm curious though, on that charging instrument and just what has transpired from what you said, has the defense made any objections in court on the record to try and preserve the appeal for an appeal purpose?
Well, I think in pre-trial, and you can correct me, but in pre-trial motions, they would address that. They would have addressed that, bringing her as a Jane Doe 1, like how was that even able to be put in the charging documents? They would have to address that in pre-trial. And the judge would have had to rule whether or not that could even had to come in.
Well, yeah, they start mentioning in pre-trial, but if there are any questions, but still, if you, just for safety's sake as an attorney, what I always do, you still get on the record and make any objection, especially when you object to a form of a question. If you're objecting to, the use of prior bad act witnesses, like what we saw with Bill Cosby, Well, what happened in that case, and the reason why that judge, and honestly, that Judge Stephen O'Neill and that district attorney, they all need to be removed from office. What they did was he called 5 prior back act witnesses in the second trial, but in the first trial he allowed 1. Now he had 19 women to choose from. He chose 5 in the second trial, but didn't tell the defense or give reasons. Oh. What happened there? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. All right. Yeah, my camera clicked off. He gave 5. He didn't tell the defense why he picked those 5 women, and they were going back as far as the early 1980s. Now, there was no way, especially as a defense attorney, and this is the problem with people going back in the past. How can I defend that? What
30
witnesses?
years.
Yeah,
30 years.
30 years. Like Bill Cosby right now, do you know he's being sued for a 19-something that happened at the Playboy Mansion allegedly in 1974, almost 50 years ago? Hugh Hefner is dead.
And he may be his witness. The witness is dead.
The main witness is dead. So yeah. So in this case with R. Kelly, and I won't try and confuse anybody, but yeah, with R. Kelly, yeah, Aaliyah is no longer here to testify, and I know that they mentioned it in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. But what's funny is how we have historical amnesia too, because Elvis Presley was married to, and they mentioned this, he was married to Priscilla when she was a minor. He actually dated her. Jerry Lee Lewis married his cousin when she was a minor. Not saying I applaud those things or comparing them, but I just don't like the selective outrage that we have with one person where we're calling them the king, and then the other one we want to throw them in jail and not honor them. I mean, should Jerry Lee Lewis be removed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
The Mann Act was available then to charge him, but they weren't charged with the Mann Act. It was available.
Yeah.
Correct? The Mann Act was available.
Well, the Mann Act was available for all of that, but they didn't charge them with that. I don't think Elvis ever got charged, but I think what happened, though, was that Elvis got permission to court Priscilla while she was a minor, even before they were married. But everybody know, and Priscilla has started to slowly come out saying stuff Elvis did. But, these girls, and I'm prefacing my comments because I don't want anybody to think I'm justifying what they did. It's not what this is. And this is another dangerous thing, Dennis. We can't even have a dialogue sometimes without people being triggered because they think you're supporting rape culture, which is it's not a rape culture.
Well, R. Kelly's not being charged with rape, nor is he being charged with dating underage women in this RICO case. He's not being charged with neither one of them. That's not part. He's not being charged with raping anyone, and he's not being charged with dating someone underage. And that's right. I guess people don't understand that. That might be.
Right. They say the same thing with Cosby. Cosby wasn't ever charged or convicted of rape. He was charged with sexual assault, which was indecent assault, which was groping someone. But yeah, people who don't know the law, they go off conflating the two things. You're absolutely right. So what he's charged with is the Mann Act, which is basically transportation of women for illicit purposes. And RICO, if we know why RICO was created, ladies and gentlemen, that was created to go after the mafia. That's why the government created that. So I ask people, in all honesty, do you honestly think R. Kelly is running a mafia? Is he running a criminal enterprise? And that's what the jury is deliberating on based off these facts and evidence. Now, Dennis, I do want to ask you, because you mentioned the Savage girl. She was one of R. Kelly's living girlfriends, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
And she if I'm not mistaken, I know that they don't disclose who testifies per se because it's a sexual.
Never testified. She
didn't testify. But didn't one of the girlfriends testify? I thought.
Well, several of his girlfriends testified. Azriel Clary, Kate. I wouldn't even classify Sonia as a girlfriend. She gave testimony. You had Geronda Pace. You had
Geronda Pace. Now that's the one who said she kept R. Kelly's shirt, if I'm not mistaken, with the semen on it.
Well, that's the one who said that she was raped. She believed she was sexually assaulted. She never said she was raped. She said she believed R. Kelly sexually assaulted her at the studio after eating Chinese food and drinking soda. She woke up, her undergarments was off on the sofa, and she had a wet spot. The between the legs, and she saw R. Kelly across the room fixing his pants, and she gets up and walks over to him and says hi to him and gives him a hug.
So she walked over to him, gave him a hug, and left?
Well, no, she testified that she gave him a hug. He said
After
some
she
words.
was
Right. She gave him a
after
hug. He
she
didn't
was
give her a hug. Right. She said that he grabbed the buttocks.
after she was assaulted.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. After she was assaulted, she goes up and walks over to him and gives him a hug.
Now, I want to show you, okay. I want to show everybody this too. And this is the type of stuff that Dennis and I are talking about, especially how there has to be accountability in reporting. Now, I can't, obviously, it wants me to read this, but when you see this title, they tried to say R. Kelly lawyer tries to discredit alleged victim with Chinese food. I hate these ads that come up because they say I've used my limit. But this was one of the things that they had talked about during the trial, and that's what Dennis was referring to about Geronda Pace, because they mentioned the use of Chinese. They mentioned Chinese food, but the way that
Geronda Pace wasn't the one that was tied to the Chinese food. It was Sonia.
Okay, I apologize. I want to make sure I get my facts correct. I thought it was Sonia.
It was Sonia.
Now, Sonia is the woman, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, if I remember correctly, she was a journalist, right?
She was an intern. She was an intern, and she worked for a radio station, and she testified.
She's trying to get an
interview with R. Kelly.
Okay,
correct.
That's why I was saying journalist. Excuse me. So, and I remember talking about this, but she actually stated, and I covered this with Sean James a few weeks ago. She actually was able to remember in detail about a taxi she took in a bad neighborhood,
Exactly.
and that it stopped for gas.
Correct.
Now, I thought that was hell of a specific thing she could remember.
After all those years.
After all of those years. And when did she allege this happened?
It happened over 15 years ago. Close to 20, I believe.
Wow. Now, I want everybody to look at this. This is the New York Daily News. Now, look how they have this titled, Trapped in the Courtroom. The R. Kelly trial has laid bare decades of predatory behavior by a very powerful man. Now, I'm going to read a paragraph on it. Now, notice how they phrase it. Now, as R. Kelly, Robert Sylvester Kelly has sold more than 30 albums, and even as indicators like album sales have given way to Spotify stream counts, he has continued to shape American culture. Kelly's trial in federal court in Brooklyn since mid-August is yet another touchstone, convincingly exposing a man whose reputation was built on sexual swagger as a serial predator of underage girls. Even more than the Me Too comeuppance of aging men like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein, the legal downfall of a superstar still near his prime, brought down by black girls, now women, he took advantage of, has the opportunity to resonate broadly across America. Now, notice when you guys, even just reading this article, Dennis, you see this, they don't say alleged. They do not use the term.
They don't say alleged, and they also stated that he used his musical talents to lure women, basically, and that is not what the that's not what a good that's not how a good article should be structured. First of all, when the article was written, obviously he wasn't convicted of any crimes, and if article comes out tonight, he still wouldn't be convicted of any crimes.
Correct.
So when you write these type of stories with these sensationalized headlines, and a jury is not sequestered, it kind of shapes the narrative that this man is guilty without being convicted.
Yeah.
You're going to see a bunch of headlines like that.
And our black media did it too. I saw you and how we responded and started following each other when you showed Roland Martin, the owl, and his headlines basically were very slanted. I don't know of anybody else in black media and press who have presented a fair, outside of yourself, necessarily presented a fair accounting of the trial. And that's the thing. I'm looking for fairness. I'm looking for balance. I'm not necessarily.
There's some black journalists that have provided some balanced reporting, but when you have some of the biggest brands in media aiding the prosecution inadvertently in poisoning the jury pool or intentionally, that poses a problem.
Right. And this is the New York Daily News. My point, this is one of the largest newspapers in this country, in North America, supposedly supposed to be one of the most respected. And they're talking like a tabloid.
Pretty much. I mean, but sensationalized journalism now is a big, hot selling ticket. That's why so many bloggers are successful. The ones that are really successful is because they don't have to follow the same standards as a journalist. They can sensationalize. They can basically they can't legally do it, but they do it.
Right.
They can say something as egregious as she said he raped her and I believe her.
Right. And what's interesting in the article, they point out R. Kelly was not charged with rape. He's
no,
not
he wasn't.
Sexual assault.
No, he
they
wasn't.
mentioned 4 women and 1 man. And my point too, and yes, there are some black journalists who are fair, but what I was just saying is that when you have the most respected, like a Roland Martin, supposedly, and he's not respected, but when you go out and put sensational headlines like that, and I haven't even watched the video that he did, but when I see headlines like that, that already tells me the direction that you're going in. And that's one of the reasons why I don't watch the media. That's why even in part the respected news networks, even like CNN, MSNBC, some of their ratings have fell down because if you look at the American people, if you go on YouTube and look at the likes to dislikes that they have with some videos, it shows a reflection of how bad people in this country don't trust the press.
Right. Absolutely. And then when
Right.
you asked me on this in the beginning of your show about how the coverage by media can essentially skew the outcome of a case. And it's obvious that the judge, the prosecutors know that this is a very high impact case for Mr. Kelly, and the stakes are high for them as well. And when you are complicit in sending information to certain media outlets because you know they are covering the story intensely that is not favorable for the defense, but you don't send the same information to the, I guess, balanced journalists, that poses a problem as well. That poses a legal problem for Mr. Kelly, because he's might not be able to get a fair trial if the jury is poisoned. They may be told by the judge not to watch media, but I mean the best safeguard would be to sequester the jury from the very beginning.
Sure. Right. Sequester the jury, tell them, you can't have, and that's what judges typically are supposed to do in high profile cases, have no contact with the outside about the case, avoid watching television, being swayed by blogs, news articles, Twitter. social media, avoid all of those, have no contact with anybody. That's how that works. But it goes back, and unfortunately, that's the same thing, MO, that happened with Dr. Cosby. But it also goes back even to the 1920s when you had white boys too, like everyone could look up Fatty Arbuckle, who was one of the first victims of sensationalized journalism, yellow journalism. He was a comedian accused of sexual assault, but also manslaughter. And while he was acquitted, he was tried 3 times. And unfortunately, his career took a downside as well as his marriage.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting is that the jury deliberated about 10 minutes to find him not guilty. It took them 10 minutes only because they used that time to write an apology to him. But the damage was done. Same thing with Sam Shepard, the doctor in Ohio that the fugitives made of. And even going to O.J. Simpson, I mean, they still talk about that. That's the one that got away. But you see all of this sensationalism that's taking place. And I do want to ask you, though, from what you saw, especially from the testimony, I saw you pointed out that the defense attorney, Mr. Kanik, had pointed out some holes in the government's case, in particular about the mail that accused R. Kelly of stuff. And if what came out, I believe he actually had stolen money. I want to be clear with my comments, but they painted.
He was accused of stealing $8,000 from Mr. Kelly's backpack.
Okay, but he was never charged with that or anything.
No. Mr. Kelly apparently accused him of stealing the money out of his backpack, and he, I want to say, did he admit it? He didn't admit on the stand he stole the money, but he was accused of stealing the money.
Okay. Now, out of all the things I've heard about R. Kelly over the years, I've heard the rumors of messing with little girls. I never heard of him messing with boys, which is what I think struck a lot of people as odd, that now they're doing this. It's like they're throwing stuff at him.
Well, hold on. Remember when those allegations came out just before the trial? That came out just before the trial. This wasn't something that was talked about over the years. This came out almost at the start of this trial, within a couple of weeks.
Yes, I remember that. And so they came out with this. They had 4 other women who testified that were there. And then what was interesting with me, Brother Byron, Steve Greenberg actually gave an interview with Gayle King, and he stated the reason why New York had jurisdiction was because they based it off the fact that R. Kelly allegedly gave one of his victims herpes. And they had the doctor even testify. His doctor testified about how he was diagnosed with herpes, which I thought was crazy and insane. But they're using that. He said that's the only way that they have jurisdiction in that case, because they were able to bring all this stuff back, because New York has laws where, like some states, if you give someone a sexually transmitted disease and they know about it and they intentionally get it, that's a crime. It's called having a depraved heart. It's like someone that gave HIV. But having a doctor testify to that when you have supposed to have patient-doctor privilege over those things, how is that? I'm wondering how they allowed that. Did his defense attorneys object to it? Can they prove?
Well, think about this as an attorney. Mm-hmm. The fact that the doctor testified to that definitely opens the door in a civil case, because you had his doctor testify to that, and they're going to use that same testimony in a civil case.
Sure.
They're going to bring that in. That's the stuff that you fight for in pre-trial in the civil cases that is now been offered to in this case. So there's no question that there will be civil cases filed one way or the other
against R. Kelly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. Well, yeah, all they have to do is just take a copy of the transcripts and use them as evidence when they file a civil suit. And the thing is, with a civil suit, you don't have the right to self-incriminate against self-incrimination. You
Right. You got to
are
testify.
required to testify. Right.
Absolutely.
You don't have that protection. But how did the defense attorney do, Mr. Kanik? Because I heard people were complaining, and BuzzFeed even talked about him in his closing arguments, comparing him with Dr. King and a few other historical figures.
And again, this is why you have to be in the courtroom.
Sure.
He is, and I'll pull his quote up, and he wasn't comparing himself to Dr. King. It was an example. Let me pull the notes up real quick here. Let me just pull it out. Give me 1 second here.
All right, take your time. Again, we're here with Brother Dennis Byron, guys. Please go to Hip Hop Enquirer, Google Hip Hop Enquirer. That's his website. And also donate to his Cash App that you see at the bottom, Hip Hop Enquirer. I just contributed to his Cash App as well. I'm asking you all to do the same so we can get honest reporting in our media. So shout out to Brother Dennis Byron. Yeah.
Give me 1 second, Counselor. I'm going to pull my notes up on my tablet.
Tina Leon says Kanik did awesome.
Kanik did a good job. His client should be happy that he fought hard. Hold on 1 second here. But yeah, just the report that he compared himself to Dr. King, that's going to grab headlines.
Right.
But was that actually what was said? And that's the question. And I'm just going to my notes here. Oh, here we go. Let's go ahead and bring this up here. So Kanik said in his opening statement, somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. He said, somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Kanik said Dr. King wants the Constitution to be upheld so the government can be true to what's on paper.
Right. Now hold on a second, Dennis. Let's compare it to what's here on BuzzFeed. I want everybody to look at this. From what you just said, now this is what BuzzFeed says. R. Kelly's defense, can y'all see this? Compared him to Martin Luther King Jr., Hugh Hefner, and Mike Pence in a rambling closing argument. Now, I don't know how long Mr. Kanik, Counselor Kanik's closing argument was.
It was no rambling there. He was very methodical in addressing each witness in a chronological order. He didn't spend much time on it, but he spent enough time to raise a shadow of a doubt. Just by pointing out the faults, the fallacies, the mistakes, it was very, very good. Johnny Cochran would have been proud of him.
Trials and Tribulations said, missed opportunities, in my opinion. Otherwise, he did good. When a man's life is on the line, you need more than good. Well, I wasn't there, obviously, with that. And, remember this, though, too. It's the job of the government to prove their case, not the defense.
Absolutely.
Their job is to poke holes. And I wasn't in the courtroom. I mean, yes, as an attorney, even there may have been, when I looked at the Bill Cosby case, there may have been things different that an attorney could have done. But again, that process, when you have a prosecutor and judge who want to put a man in jail and they bend all the rules like they did in Bill Cosby's case, you could have had Johnny Cochran, Thurgood Marshall, and Charles Houston form a new dream team and teamed up to save Bill Cosby. They still would have found him guilty, And those who don't know, you should look up who Charles Houston was. He was the man that trained Thurgood Marshall. He was the man given the nickname, the man who killed Jim Crow. That was his nickname, because he actually tried cases in the South and fought against segregation. But this was written by Julia Reinstein, and she says this. And you can click on her, this BuzzFeed News reporter. If you click on her icon, she's been covering the trial.
I know Julia is.
Oh, you know her? Yeah. But I want the audience to know. But look at the headlines. I just clicked on this, but look at the headlines and how she words this. A former cop who worked for R. Kelly claimed he never saw the singing with young girls, then acknowledged he actually did. R. Kelly's defense relied on a member of his entourage who kept contradicting themselves on the witness stand. A backup singer said she walked in on R. Kelly having sex with Aaliyah when she was a teenager. Now, let's pause on that one right quick, Brother Dennis, and I know you got to run in a few. But I have to say this, and I believe this is I believe I saw this even in the documentary that this person mentioned this. If you saw, just like with Michael Jackson, someone supposedly saw Michael being inappropriate with a minor. If you saw a grown man on top of a young girl having sex, I have to ask, where the hell were you when you could have stopped all of this? Where was this outrage? Again, yes, I get people may see something scared. People get scared and do weird things when stuff happens, but why now? When you can't really bring justice to Aaliyah if this happened. Let's say it did, but why now? Why you didn't say anything during it? Immediately. As an adult.
Well, I would just say that think about people's motivations and where they are in their life right now. And Kannick said it best. There were a lot who participate in surviving R. Kelly. Mm-hmm. There are a lot now who are surviving off of R. Kelly's name.
Right.
So
that's true too. Even his ex-wife spoke badly about him, and there was a video of her dancing to his songs afterwards, praising him for his work and all of this stuff. It's like you're talking bad about him in a documentary, how bad of a husband he was, but then you are on Facebook celebrating him. You still carry his last name. It's like Tina Turner still is named herself after Ike. She still has Ike's name. I mean, right. So it's a pile on. But
R. Kelly's a brand.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt.
His brand is harmed pretty bad right now, but he was a brand for many years.
Yeah. Before you do leave, brother, I do want to post. I had this video I wanted to share. It's only about 3 minutes. And this is from Malicious Conspiracy. She put this up. I want to share it with everybody because I believe it's something that you may have alluded to yesterday on your live stream on Instagram about the jurors wanting to hear some information from the judge or some notes that they may have had, or if I'm not mistaken, they were trying to get, while they were deliberating, they had asked for something. And I believe this is what, I don't know for sure, but I'm just going to play it. This is from Malicious Conspiracy. She put this up.
Letter to her brother. She said,
fair use.
Brother, the reason I haven't texted or called, one, is I needed to take the time to think about our parents, what our parents have done to ruin my relationship. Two, I came to Florida to see you. I came to see if I can trust you because I can't trust our parents. She said that she's happy with Rob. She said, you don't have an idea of what the parents did in the beginning to blackmail, and they're doing it now. They used me to live with him and to blackmail him. She said, I was going along with it because I thought he was very interesting, but came to love him because he showed her nothing but love and respect. But the parents never changed. She said, Mommy tried to get me to sleep with him and set him up. Mommy even told me to tell him I was 18 and even told me to dress sexy to entice him. But he didn't even see me coming on to him. I told police I was 18 because parents told me to tell Rob I was 18. They told police that I was 18. I knew that they were setting him up because they sent me to the hotel. Brother, I'm telling you the truth. I can't make this shit up. She said Rob was not interested in me. The more he didn't, the more mommy told me to push up on him and do it more. She said I felt bad, so I decided to come clean and tell Rob the truth. He didn't get mad. He never showed any interest in me. They literally signed me over because the first setup didn't work. She said I was happy because she said she was happy that they did sign her over because she was getting tired of being treated like a hoe by her parents. So she was happy to be with Rob. She had grown to love him. Then Pops told them that if he didn't start sending money, they would go on social media and exploit him. They told her to bring a dildo to him. She said no because she felt uncomfortable doing it. So they started showing up at his shows, pulling out dildos. Mom told Rob because she didn't care if they had sex, just to let her be his driver. She continued to get threatened by mommy because she wasn't getting either. The mother kept asking if they were having sex at 17, and she said no. The mother got mad. So they started texting Rob directly. And she texted, since you fucking my daughter, you're going to have to send me $10,000 a month. That didn't work. So they teamed up with the Savages and started digging up old stuff. They found exes. They coached them on what to say, and so that they can get book deals, reality shows, and etc. So that was what her letter.
Now, I don't know who's reading the letter. I think that was malicious, that conspiracy reading that. Shout out to her. And of course, I have to say all of this is alleged because I don't know for a fact. And, I claim, I shared this information under fair use of 1976 for news and commentary purposes only. But someone had asked the question, and maybe if you can clarify it, Dennis, is this the letter Jane Doe wrote to her brother?
Yes, that's the letter that the jury requested on Friday by the judge in a note at 4:07 p.m. that they wanted to see the letter that this particular witness testified, and that would be Jane Doe or Azriel. And they want to study the letter, and they also want to, and they asked for a few other pieces of evidence. And we don't know if the judge has granted everything that they requested, but that was the note. So she may rule on that tomorrow, or she may have already provided some of that.
Okay, so the judge, as of right now, we don't know if the judge had had granted that to the jury or not.
We just know there was a note.
Okay, there was a note for it. All right.
Right.
And let's see. And in that case, the judge, trying to figure out what is the judge's name?
Judge Ann Donnelly.
Judge Ann Donnelly, yes. And the prosecutor for that is a female assistant United States attorney.
Geddes, Nadia, and Cruz. They're three different attorneys.
Right. And R. Kelly even has a female attorney. That's
Nicole Blank Becker.
Nicole Blackman. Right. And I'm sorry?
Nicole Blank Becker. Right.
And there actually was an article on Miss Becker, you're correct, about her being R. Kelly's attorney. They were preferencing how a female could represent him or anything like that, just like they did with Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein had a female attorney that was representing him in his case. But, again, it's about our criminal justice system, our Constitution. People that believe a person is innocent until proven guilty, they can hire whatever attorney they want, whether it's black, white, male, female. That's their right to do so. And Boss of Queenie, all the prosecutors are female. And I think there's a message behind that.
Of course.
The judge is a female. Yeah, the judge is a female, the women are female. And you have the crew from Surviving R. Kelly that is there. I know they had camera crews out there for not only Bill Cosby, but even Harvey Weinstein. And remember, even Weinstein's charges, a few of them got dismissed out of court because the testimony in the cases, especially Annabella Sciorra, he got acquitted on that one because what she said was garbage.
Right.
So, You got to be honest with these things. We can't be biased with our emotions. Again, we're not here to be quote unquote apologists for rapists, but we're about fairness and we're about honest reporting. And this brother here, Dennis Byron, he's put the work in. Someone had asked, "Are you going to be in court tomorrow?" I imagine you're going. That's a resounding yes, right, Dennis?
Absolutely. I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm out of Atlanta, but I'm in the city.
Yeah.
Been here since almost the beginning. Um, so yeah, it's an expensive case to cover, especially staying in Manhattan. So hit the Cash App, please. Hit the Cash App.
The Cash App. I have hit the Cash App for you. I've hit you up just a second ago, brother. And actually, I'm going to put your Cash App again up. Everybody go to Hip Hop Enquirer, the Cash App to Mr. Dennis Byron, Hip Hop Enquirer. Dennis, we're obviously going to keep monitoring this and find out what happens with the verdict. My guess is, especially if we're talking about honest reporting, it could be either an acquittal or hung jury. Just my thinking of it. But I'm wondering whether this jury is ever influenced by outside influences. That's going to be a question you never know what happens until that incident. But
well, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Counselor.
Put on my counselor hat.
With the level of reporting and the cherry picking of sending transcripts to certain members of the press, would you move as an attorney for a mistrial for your client, just based on the level of coverage, the non-sequestration of the jury? Would you request a mistrial at minimum?
At minimum, I put my counselor hat on. I'm not being in the courtroom. I don't know exactly, other than what's being reported, what happened. But if it's bad, like how you have described it, certainly I would definitely consider doing that. I certainly would preserve the record for an appeal if my mistrial is denied, which judges, they don't just grant mistrials. Obviously,
this one won't.
This one, even if I move for one, the attorney may be thinking, whoever, I may be thinking, well, if I go ahead and move for a mistrial, will they screw me over as we have more witnesses to come? Because that thing goes in your mind. Recusing judges, you can file those motions if you find out they're prejudiced.
Absolutely.
And, the judge in the Bill Cosby case was asked to be recused by Tom Mesereau, and he refused because his wife was allegedly receiving donations from the groups that were out there protesting and getting his awards removed. And the judge refused to move himself. But
that's obviously a problem.
It is a problem because it's not about impropriety. It's about the appearance of impropriety.
Absolutely.
The appearance of it was bad.
Absolutely.
So yes, I would, if it was that bad, the things that were going out, if there are people contacting the jurors, if there are people not sequestering the jury, I could move that. I certainly, obviously, I think the judge would deny it anyway. But, on appeal, which is why we have a court of appeals in the Supreme Court, look at the case of Shepard versus Maxwell. If everybody wants to look at how the media played a role in a criminal trial, in that murder trial, the Supreme Court, although the federal district court reversed it, reversed his conviction, the Supreme Court reversed the conviction as well because they saw that the reporting that took place inside Sam Shepard's case, but also the judge, how he acted, the judge actually telling a journalist, there's no doubt about it, he's guilty, which was problematic.
Right.
The people
exactly
in front of the jurors, these people, it was so crowded, they're taking pictures, they're doing all of this stuff. It was a problem. So certainly, yes, it's something I would consider. And I think that we all need to pay a little bit more attention to ourselves, especially our prejudices, because when we let that get in the way of facts and truths, it's not about whether I like R. Kelly or not. I don't know the man personally, and no, don't like what he's accused of. Certainly, I'd be honest. No, I would not have any of my family, my daughters around him just by what I've heard. But it's not about that. It's about the law. It's about facts and evidence. It's about what the government can do. And when we have governments that overreach with doing things, if they supposedly overreach in cases like this, like you saw with Dr. Cosby, then of course we have a problem because our government no longer is free. And we're in a dictatorship when our judges and our district attorneys can do things unethically and unchecked. So, having said all of that, brother Dennis Byron, I appreciate you and thank you for being here. And it won't be the last time you come on.
Thank you for having me, my brother. Appreciate you.
Is there any final words you want to say?
No, just stay tuned in. You know, we're on Verdict Watch. When I get the verdict, you'll get the verdict, and I move pretty quickly.
I can tell. I know. I get the tweets. You out there pounding it, man.
So
Hey,
you guys will have it. You have it literally in minutes. In a minute, as soon as I can grab my phone.
And we will go live the minute that happens. And shout out to brother Dennis Byron. You guys, please hit that Cash App and support this man. Support this brother, working very hard on this. And you can find Dennis available on Twitter if you want to follow him at Mr. Dennis Bryan. That is his Twitter username, at Mr. Dennis Byron. M, D, and B are capitalized. So thank you, brother Dennis, and thank you, chat. I appreciate you, brother, and be safe out there.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been another edition of Gavin Reshaw Presents here on channel GBoo2786. Wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. I'd ask you all to support me as well. A shout out to, we've had over 62 people. I didn't thank all of y'all during it, but 62 people. Hopefully, it looks like I got some new subscribers. What's up to Tina Leon? What's up, Michael Holman? Of course, I saw Rashana Morrison. It's a pleasure to see you. Black Mama, I haven't seen you in a while. Black Mama. The Black Mama. She's the Black Mama. Kobe is the Black Mama, or Uma Thurman. Nisi Mo fighting for injustice. I see you with the Kel's avatar there. Shout out to you. Thank you all for tuning in. I want you all, though, to support me. You see the Cash App. If you're supporting Mr. Byron, if you want to donate to my Cash App or Google Pay, that would be great. But also, you can support me. Another way you can support me is by checking out, number one, my seasoning company, Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com, Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nawny's goes great with every dish. That's our hashtag, our catchphrase. I just want to say, if we have been dealing with the hurricane with Ida, it had knocked some stuff out, but we're up and trying to get back up and running things, man. I mean, it's just been crazy. I had to take a little vacation from all of this past week. I went up to Cincinnati to see the family, and y'all saw my live stream on Tuesday and Thursday, on Thursday that I did with Sean and Harvey. Shout out to them. I appreciated Block Bender TV. Please subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to Gavin. This is a cool channel. You're right, Boss Queenie. I'm very cool. Also, something I wanted to mention, you can also download and buy my album, my latest single, Video Souls, the instrumental that I have. That's another way to support me. Please just, I try not to get myself out there, throw my music so everybody could hear it. And more to come with that as well. Don't stop creating. And also, of course, you can buy and stream Gotta Get On Up. Now, we already have gotten down, ladies and gentlemen. So now it's time to get on up. And I see you, Rashana. Thank you. I appreciate that. But make sure y'all support Brother Byron if you can as well. Just give him something. since he's out there from Atlanta, out in Manhattan. Y'all can download, support him via Cash App. And go to his website, hiphopinquirer.com as well. All right, guys, but that's it. I'm going to get me something to eat and relax with the fam. This has been another edition of Gavin Richard Presents, and I'm going to check out Tariq's live stream, I guess, tonight as well. I got to listen to his one he did on Friday. I was going to sleep listening to it. I fell off. But you got to get on up. I will see you all in the next one. I'll holla. Peace. Okay. All right. This is awkward. Hold on. No. No. Okay. Get it right. Hold on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get on up. I'm out officially.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get all up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get all up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on. Tell the DJ take the way you start. Rock steady in the mood. Put on your fire. Turn that wind on the roof. Show me how you do the vocals. Electric slide on two. Hit the bus down, I'll do the body hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get all up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve, and so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and get you on the dance 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. This jam we appreciate. Slide and step on the beat, on the dance floor. Get on the floor. And move your body. When the beat is really start to feel your body. You gotta get on up. Shake something, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on. Gotta get on. You gotta get on, get on, get on.
Good night, guys. And check out Infamous Sylvia's channel. And this is my first time actually hearing of this sister. Infamous Sylvia is going to have Judge Joe Brown on discussing the R. Kelly case. So that's going to be interesting. So shout out to, I believe it was Gucci D'Souza who mentioned that. Check that out. And I will see you all in the next one. I don't call with the computer on, Black Mama. At least I call in. Am I coming back on tonight, Cheryl? No. I doubt it. All right. Well, good night. Have a good one. Judge Joe Brown is going to be on Infamous Sylvia show. That's going to be interesting. I got to talk about these little hoochie mamas who are testifying against Mr. Kelly. I think it's a disgrace and dishonor, but not as much as that sissified punk Moist Lamont Shield that was trying to give me the business and set me up in an ambush. I said, you little sissified punk, I got you dead in my crosshairs. I'm the Black Yosemite Sam, wretched varmint. They need evidence. Evidence. If you don't have that, they are nothing but worthless accusations. They were groupies, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They sucked and ducked and dried all the way. When I was in the Playboy Mansion, 1974, they wanted to know how Judge Joe Brown got down. I wasn't even a judge yet, but Brown could get down, son. So check out Infamous Sylvia tonight. I will be on there. And let me just say, Counselor Richard is an outstanding attorney and young brother. I really like him, very much so. You all ought to subscribe if you have not to his channel. Thank you, Judge. All right. He's going to get me for that. All right, guys, good night.